Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. This week, you're going to be hearing from me, your host, Andrea Miller. We are on season 2. We're almost wrapping it up. This is episode 48, which is crazy. I have been so grateful to drop a brand new episode every single week since September 2024. Wow, that's insane. And I've had so many amazing guests. As you know, I've had family members, I've had friends, I've had people that I have just met. I have had people that others have referred to me, and it has been such a joyful ride, and I've just enjoyed every bit of it. And I thank you as listeners for still being here for this journey. I am grateful to you for recommending people to speak with. I'm grateful to the guests that have been on the show. And as I always say, everybody has a story, and so many of these guests have really proven that true. As you may know, or if you've been listening for a while, you do know, I started the Show Me the Way podcast because you can tell by listening that I love to talk. I really, really enjoy podcasts. And I dealt with some adversity now 11 years ago when my younger son, Nathan, was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And when that happened, as you can imagine, my husband's and my life and my older son's life completely did a 180. We had a plan. We thought we were heading in a certain direction. And with one trip to the doctor and one blood test, everything was completely changed. When we originally found out that something was going on with Nathan, he actually was rushed to an emergency visit. There wasn't much of an emergency because we found out we were going to be dealing with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but at the time, something in his blood test really showed that something was going on. So the doctor over the weekend that was on call said, "You need to come in." And one of the nurses there, my husband and I will never forget, told us that, you know what, you're on a journey. So yes, you're here today. We're going to do some tests and then you'll go home. But this is the start of a journey. So we knew that our path was completely different than what we had expected. And it just opened my eyes, gave me perspective, showed me that everybody deals with adversity. Throughout life, there's so many things that don't go the way that we expect them to go. And I think sometimes when you're young, you just expect everything to kind of follow a certain order. Or if you're dating someone and it becomes serious, you think, oh, I think we're going to get married. Or say you've lived in Michigan like I have all my life, and you think to yourself, I'm probably going to stay in Michigan. Or you go to school to become a teacher and you think, I'm going to graduate and become a teacher. And a lot of times things don't go that smooth. There's breakups, there's moves, there are new job opportunities, there's a change in your mind. I don't really think I'm interested in teaching anymore once you start taking the classes. I need to do something different. A class didn't work out the way you expected it to go, so you had to choose something different. You weren't getting the grades you expected, so you decided to go into a different program. My older son, Nick, plays soccer for Adrian College. He had 6 guys, all 6 of them from his high school, head over to Adrian to play soccer together. And after 1 year, 3 of them decided to do something different. So your path always changes. And sometimes there's big diagnoses for you or your children. Sometimes there's major moves. Sometimes there's divorce. Sometimes there's grief. So sometimes these changes might cause a little bit more issue than others, or it might be a little more traumatic than other changes. But throughout life, no matter what, change is inevitable. And I mean, obviously, I knew that throughout my whole life, but I just did not expect this to happen with my family. And it just really changed everything for us. And at that time, I thought, we've got to do things. We've got to educate. We've got to start fundraising. We've got to share with all of our friends and family more about Duchenne, and we've got to find ways to make Nathan's quality of life the best it can be. And so we did jump into a lot of that. We connected with a lot of Duchenne families. I worked for a Duchenne organization for a little while. We did all kinds of things. Nathan got into a trial, as many of you know, where we traveled to Chicago once a week for him to get an infusion of a medication that was going to maybe help prolong some of his muscle usage. Anything that we could do, we tried to jump in and do. But I always had in the back of my mind, it would be great to start a podcast. I would love to share his journey. As soon as I'm sure that you can relate to this, you start talking about a diagnosis for you or your children, or you start talking about something that you've gone through. People love to relate. They love to say, oh my goodness, I went through something similar. Or wow, I know someone who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And I think it just encourages us all to understand that we're not alone. So when you start doing that, you hear stories of all different kinds. And I thought, I need a platform where I can share Nathan's journey, the journey that my family and I are on. And then we can also allow others to share their journeys too. And we can learn from one another. We can take advice from one another and really just understand that we're in this together. And maybe it'll give us a new idea, a new perspective, a different way to approach what we're going through. And if we can do that for one or two or three people, then I feel so great about the show that we just put out. So I've had amazing guests, as I've said, but every once in a while, you're going to hear from just me, where I like to kind of reflect on the shows that we've had. I like to remind listeners that you all have a story to share. So if you haven't been on and you want to talk about your story, no matter how big or small, no matter how traumatic or how little traumatic it was, maybe it was just, gosh, I really went through this major change with my job and I want to talk about it. I would love to put you on the show. I love to say that I create a very comfortable space where individuals can just speak on what's on their heart. I do not write a script. You can tell I didn't write a script today. I do put some notes out there when people are speaking. I take all kinds of notes because I'm learning so much from everybody too. But I just want it to be a comfortable coffee talk conversation. So when others listen, they can feel like, okay, that's very relatable. And I feel good about listening to this and what I'm going through. So if you have a story to share, or as I'm speaking, you're thinking about somebody that you just met or you've known forever that has a great story to share, let's talk. I would love to have you or them on the podcast. It's super easy to set it up, and we don't even do a lot of pre-work. I just say, here's what to expect. Let's go. Speak what's on your heart. And again, I try to make for a very comfortable setting. I've been told that I do that. So it would be a great opportunity for you to share your story. And I don't have a million listeners yet, but we're going to get there someday. I have a lot of confidence that everybody out there can relate to what we're talking about. And why did I call it Show Me the Way? Well, I've mentioned this a few times on the show, that was always my prayer. After Nathan, after I received that diagnosis, I would say, God, show me the way. I don't truly understand what's happening. I don't know why this happened to my 5-year-old son. I don't know why this is the diagnosis or what we need to do. Show me the way. Show me the way. And since then, I have definitely grown my relationship with God. A lot of my friends, guests that have been on the show, some of the people that are in a Bible group with me, my sisters from that group, we have learned together. I have learned from them. I have really tried to create a better relationship and a more comfortable relationship with me and my faith. And I do think that I've worked on that and I'm progressing. I have a long way to go, but I'm very proud of what I've learned from others and how I've brought the faith into my life. I feel like I have the strongest faith that I've ever had. And I questioned that a lot after I received my son's diagnosis. So, show me the way was always my prayer. I just strongly believe that God has a plan and He has a path for every single person out there. And it's up to us to seek it out, to pray, to listen to any callings that we have, and to move forward on that path as best we can. And I will admit, I fall off. I turn left instead of right when I'm not supposed to often. A lot of times I'll take things into my own hands, and for a second, I'll think that I'm in control and I can choose how to walk through life and how things are going to go. And usually when I do that, I'm quickly reminded that no, you are not in control. God is in control and He has a path, and it's up to me to find it, to seek it out, to pray for it. And when I get on it, to try to stay as close to or as much on it as I possibly can, because we all have strengths to use and we all have things that we're supposed to do in our lives. And we don't always choose the right thing. We sometimes get involved in maybe a job or a family situation that we aren't supposed to be in, but we do learn through that. We are human. And then we just keep seeking and trying to look for that path and stay on it or as close to it as we possibly can. And some of my recent guests have really reminded me of that. So I'm definitely going to reflect on that a little bit later in today's quick conversation. But before I get into that, I kind of want to focus today. Yes, I just explained why we started the podcast and how sometimes you're going to hear from me. And I hope these are not the boring episodes because I think I have a lot to reflect on and a lot to share after being a host. But yeah, I want to talk about August. So it is August 3rd. It is a Monday. So not only did we start a new month, but today we started a new week. And for me, my reflection for August is that it is the month of change. And actually, I have a full house right now, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But my parents are here, and my mom said August is always a big month for change. And I've never really thought of it that way, but she is spot on because it's always summer's about to end. Finish up your summer vacations, any summer work, summer jobs for like my older son. He just finished one of his jobs. Things are coming to an end and new things are getting ready to start. We will be rolling into fall. As much as I love summer and I'm not ready for that, I do enjoy fall and we're not too far from it. We are not too far from it. I don't like to rush. I'm one of those people that can't stand when Target puts out all of their pumpkins and Halloween decoration while it is still sunny and pool weather, but you can't stop people from marketing. So I have to just live with that. But I'll be the last person to go buy a pumpkin spice Starbucks latte. I will wait and I will continue with a summer strawberry refresher drink for now. I am not excited that we move through these months as quickly as we do. But that's okay. That's a whole nother conversation, I suppose. But not only is fall going to be starting soon, my older son, Nick, will be headed back to school. He is in his third year of college this year, which is insane. I have been watching that guy play soccer since he was 3 years old, and he is now 20. So we're going into this junior year of college. He's going to become more serious about, what his next steps are, what his degree will be. He's working on a finance degree at the moment, and he did a great internship over the summer where he learned so much about financial planning, and he was able to just completely shadow a very experienced financial planner, which was awesome. Rather than, hey, son, go sit in that room and make 500 calls a day trying to get people to work with me, he said, follow me around and listen to my phone calls. And it's been a great experience for him. So he's wrapping that up. So getting ready to jump back into his finance classes at school. And he's getting closer to graduation. So the classes become more and more important. And he is, like I said, I've been watching soccer forever. Well, he's going to finish up this next year of soccer. It starts in August, at the end of August. And then he plays through October, hopefully longer. And then when that's done, I only have one more season left to watch him play. So we'll have to hope he does some coaching or has kids that play soccer. But in the meantime, thinking about that, oh my gosh, he's almost done with soccer, his college soccer experience. And boy, did that fly by. I'm so cliche with time, but I swear time just flies. I remember when we first got him into travel soccer when he was 7 years old, I thought maybe we should just stay in the more calm recreational soccer. And with tears in his eyes, he said, no, I want to do it competitively. And he got into a travel team. And there were so many ups and downs, but we met some of the greatest people that are friends that I consider family to this day. He played in high school. I was very concerned. Is he going to play in high school? We're in a very competitive area. He was able to play in high school. He was able to be a captain on JV and as a senior on varsity. What an amazing experience. And then went on to play in college. I never would have thought that that would happen. So in a blink of an eye, I got to see all this. So there's that big change coming up. And he has been home with us this whole summer. He's been very busy with work and some time with friends and soccer, and he's obsessed with working out. And he's eating me out of house and home. I've spent more on groceries this summer than I ever remember spending, but it has been such a joy having him here, knowing that he comes home at night, sleeps in his bed, and we see him in the morning. And then after work or after his workout, he spends time with us, has dinner with us, goes places with us. So it's going to be very sad to see him go. I know a lot of parents say, oh, get out of the house. We're used to you not being here. But I love having him home. He is such a special young man, and he really creates this sanity in this house. He's very level-headed, and sometimes when it's me, my husband, and my other son, Nathan, we have very different personalities, and it's difficult when it's just the three of us. So I really love when he's here. Granted, I love being with my other son and I love being with my husband, but I just appreciate that fourth person and his mentality and just what he brings, because like we all bring something to the family and to the table, right? And I just love when he's here. So I will be sad when he packs up and he heads back. He is going to be living in the fraternity house this year, so that will be new and interesting. I'll be very excited to watch his soccer games, but yeah, that's a big change in August. And then, not to dwell just on that, let me talk about my other son, which you have heard me talk about. Nathan is going to be a senior, and actually, for the first time ever, he is going to school before Labor Day. For some reason, his school starts before Labor Day this year. So it's August 31st, so it's less than a month away. Senior year. I can't even wrap my arms, I can't even wrap my head. Nothing around this. I just look at him and I see my little guy starting kindergarten. I just cannot believe that he's going to be a senior. I've already went through this with Nick, went through the emotions of my son growing up and graduating high school and moving on to college. But I don't know, with the second child and the baby, it just hits different. And with everything we have dealt with Nathan, I just cannot believe that my guy is going to be a senior. And he's so excited about it. He's excited about homecoming. He's excited about potentially being on court. He thinks that he will become homecoming king. I hope that works out. He does seem very confident about it, so that's great. He is part of the student section leaders. So for his particular school at Canton, there's a few people that make up the student section group. And when they go to football games or soccer games or volleyball games or whatever, they gather people and they try to create a lot of school spirit. So he's going to be doing that, which will be fun to see. Well, I will have to do a lot of driving to all the football games, but I know that he's going to enjoy every second of that. Tomorrow, we're getting his senior pictures done. I mean, all of these things. He keeps talking about his graduation party, which thank goodness that's a few months away. I've got some time to prepare, but just also thinking about all the stuff that he's going to be doing and then the big change that's going to happen next year at this time. So, yeah, that's very heavy on my mind. I've got a lot of people saying, what's he doing after college? And that's extremely overwhelming for me. I mean, it's definitely about him, but, changing the way that we've had things structured is going to be huge. So next year at this time, I'll probably do another podcast about change. I have had him in a school structure for a long time. I mean, this will be the 13th year if you count kindergarten. And before that, he was in daycare. So I've had structure where like I drop him off at 7 or 8 or 9 and he stays until 2, 3, or 4. So I will really be changing my schedule and how I structure things very soon. And that's definitely a lot to think about. It's very overwhelming to me. And so I'm having a hard time with that. So I'm just kind of being honest about what's going on in my head these days. So you'll hear a lot of that as we continue through the podcast this year, I'm sure. And, August, again, change is inevitable. It's always happening. Everybody goes through change. A big happy change that actually just happened this morning at 1:16 this morning. My niece, Jordan, who has been a guest on the show, gave birth to a baby girl. Wow. Talk about change in our family. We have a little baby for the first time in a very long time. We have other babies in the family, but this is the first one in our like immediate core. My sister's daughter just had a baby. It's crazy to me. My parents are in town, like I said, and we ended up going to the hospital yesterday in hopes of meeting this new baby. My niece went into labor very early in the morning on Sunday morning. So we hung out the whole day at the hospital, getting updates from my sister who was in the room with her. My sister, as you know, is a labor and delivery nurse. She has been working as a labor and delivery nurse for over 20 years. And she was in the room with her all day and her husband. And we just kept getting updates. And we thought, okay, baby's going to be born today. Well, things ended up taking a much longer time than we expected. Again, that path, it's never exactly what we think it's going to look like. And we ended up waiting all day and determining we needed to leave around 9 p.m. My house is about an hour away from the hospital. So I just kept thinking, we're not going to go home till after 10. We hadn't really eaten. We're very tired. We got to go to bed. We're going to need to leave. So fortunately, we did leave because the baby didn't end up getting born till 1:16 this morning. So we wouldn't have been able to sit in the waiting room that whole time. We probably would have been sleeping in the chair. So it was a good thing that we left, but I have not met baby girl yet. So we're going to go do that later tonight. And I can't wait. It's just blowing my mind that my niece, my little niece, who I remember when she was born, stood up in my husband and my wedding. She's has a baby. It's just something I'm having a hard time comprehending. So I can't wait for that. But what a change, a very positive change. Fortunately, so far, baby's healthy. Mom is doing great. And I'm super excited to meet her today. So yeah, big, big changes. And that leads me to, I was talking about how I have a full house. So both my parents are here. My sister, who is now a Nana, hopefully, unless baby decides to call her Nona, but we're going with Nana at the moment. She lives in Florida. Well, she came up early just in case the baby came early. So she's been staying with us at our house for over a week. And then my parents came in. And then tomorrow, my sister's boyfriend, who lives in Florida, is going to come up because he wants to meet the baby and see all of us as well. And then my other sister, who lives in Ohio, with her 2 kids, are probably going to want to come see the baby. And I'm guessing they'll stay with us or at least come visit us in my house also. And just a full house. We got a lot of people here. So it's been very intense. It's where's everyone going to sleep? How much food do we need? We ran out of coffee creamer this morning. I did a shopping order first thing in the morning and was able to get more creamer. So that was a godsend. And yeah, we're just kind of full. I don't know if my husband loves it, but he is amazing with all of us. And he is just so open, and he just kind of goes with whatever I say is happening. I'm like, this person's coming this day, this person's coming that day, and he's just great with it. He's wonderful with my family. So it's been very interesting and very great. I always tell all of you on here that I'm a huge extrovert and I love having people around me. So having my whole family here means a lot. And I love being part of this whole baby planning and prepping and now born process. So I'm excited to meet that baby today. But yeah, talk about change, right? Lots of change. I'm getting older. In October, I'll be celebrating 25 years of wedded bliss with my husband. So that's crazy to me. You know that my parents recently moved to North Carolina. So they did drive here. Actually, they visited friends in St. Louis and then came here. So they've been driving like crazy. That has been a big change. So I have not visited their new house yet. They moved in May. It's going to take a bigger road trip than I thought. And if I want to fly there, I need to pick the right time when the price is right. So we'll be working on that. But yeah, that was a very big change for us. We don't have the home in Florida to visit anymore, which is okay. My sister and her boyfriend live there, so we can visit them. But yeah, a huge, huge change. So, it just keeps happening. I think 2026 has been extra change for our family. But it just goes to show that nothing stays the same. And that, again, is the point of this podcast. My sister, Nikki, that I was just talking about, being a labor and delivery nurse for over 20 years, she decided she would like to go into real estate, which I like because that's what I do. So we can work together and learn together. She'll be licensed in Florida, obviously, and I'm in Michigan, but you never know what the future holds. We could, become licensed in each other's states and go from there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, talk about completely flipping and completely doing something new. I need to have her on the podcast because I would love to hear her talk more about that. But again, for anyone that says they don't have a story or they don't have something to share on the Show Me the Way podcast, they do. I could talk to other moms that are dealing with senior year. I have a couple of friends that I would love to talk to further about that. I probably will reach out to them because I think we all are going to need each other over this year. I could talk about soccer and other moms that have sons that don't play these sports anymore, and when they play travel, you get so close to the families. So we could easily talk about change there. Or when a child says, I don't want to do this sport anymore, I want to do something different, that kind of change. We could talk about babies being born. We could talk about what happens when the seasons change. We could talk about getting older and celebrating all these years of marriage and just reflecting on, gosh, 25 years. How did that go by so fast? Talking about moves. Like I keep saying, sometimes it's for a job. Sometimes kids move away from us, but sometimes it's parents that are in their 70s that say, I need a change. And they decide to move to a state where they don't know anyone and we don't know anyone. So anything can happen at any time. And I think it's just important that we embrace that. And again, it's a good reminder that you all have something to share and we can all learn by your experience and things that you've gone through. So again, getting back to Show Me the Way, it was all about adversity. It was all about you go through something and how does it look like on the other side? And I've just really learned that we all go through it. Nobody stays away from change. And again, sometimes it's more traumatic than other times, but it doesn't make any of the stories any less valuable or important or meaningful. And I started it because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to say, hey, when my family went through this change, here's what it looked like. Can you relate? Have you been through something like that? And it's been amazing to talk to people that can relate and can say, yeah, maybe my son doesn't have the same diagnosis, but here's what happened when this happened to our family. And it's just so interesting. I just strongly believe that people need people and we can learn from one another. And none of us want to feel like we're doing any of this alone. Change affects all of us in some way. Change is always something that we deal with in life. Everybody has to deal with some kind of adversity, some kind of change, some kind of path that looks different than what we predicted. I have talked a little bit about my faith and how important that has been. With prayers and reflection, I certainly have started to understand this whole pathway thing a little more, that there's reasons we're put on paths. There's reasons that unfortunately children or people in general get diagnosed with impossible diseases or things that we just can't understand, something that's incurable, something that takes something away from somebody. It's so hard to understand why that would possibly happen. A lot of us say everything happens for a reason, and you've heard me talk about it on the show a couple of times. I don't necessarily believe in it in that way. I don't truly understand why Nathan has the diagnosis, but I do believe that there is a purpose behind it. And I do believe that because of Nathan, I have learned so much, and my perspective is so different than it was before. Now, granted, I'm older now, so, with age, perspective changes as well, but just learning so much from how he has taken on this progressive muscle wasting disease and how he's in a wheelchair, but he still can't wait for homecoming. And he still is a student section leader. He's doing all that he can to enjoy life and build a great quality of life. And I have so much respect for him for that. On one hand, I get frustrated with him because he's almost 17, which again, that's another crazy change. Almost 17, my youngest son. Oh my gosh. But, all kids have issues and go back and forth with their parents or have fights with their parents or whatever. We all do that. That's just normal part of aging and growing up. Put all that aside, the kid has taught me so much. Like I can't even begin to explain how much he has changed my life. Kids always change our life, but him, it's like the way that I think now. I'm very into life is short. I'm very into do it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. I have that tattoo that says TNT, today, not tomorrow. And he's just shown me like to live in the present. And yeah, I still get a little type A and a little freaky if my house isn't completely clean, which by the way, right now I've got so many people in this house, there's stuff everywhere and dishes being cleaned twice a day and tons of laundry going and all of that. So sometimes I'll still get, type A and I'll get frustrated about things like that. But overall, in general, there's really such bigger things to worry about than things that I used to worry about when I was younger. And, you wish you could go back and tell yourself or tell other young people, like, I would love to talk to my niece who's a new mom and say, these are the things you're going to get frustrated with, but try to let them go. There's more important things in life. But she just had a baby. I'm not going to start telling her all those things. And there's a lot of things she's going to have to learn on her own as she experiences them, like we all did. But I definitely have changed my perspective and it has really made life very different. And so to be able to share that with others and help them see that they're not alone and that they can get different perspective too has just been so much fun. And I don't know, I go back to what's on your path. And I strongly believe that I have much more I could give. I mean, again, like I said, I don't have a million listeners yet, so I have a lot more work to do to get there and to affect and to make an impact on more people. But I do believe that I will do that. And I believe that a strength of mine is to talk and tell a story and put something out there and also make people such as my guests feel comfortable sharing their story too. So I'm going to keep going with it. And I really, truly appreciate you being listeners here for the show. And before I end off, I don't really like to make very long episodes when it's just me speaking, but I want to remind you of a couple of episodes that I recently dropped. One was with Cindy Manco. It was episode 46, Listen, Love, Launch, which is the name of her podcast. She was amazing. She was an awesome person to speak with. I was referred to her from a friend on Facebook when I reached out and reminded people that everybody has a story to tell. And she has been just a godsend to me. So she created something called the Journal Project. She sent it to me. It's this book with journal prompts, something you fill out as your child is a senior. And it's memories and perspective from the mom's point of view and something that you can gift to your child once they graduate. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. She gifted this book to me. You can find it on Amazon. I can't wait to start it. I can't wait to get into it. I probably should open it today because, like I said, tomorrow is his senior pictures. So that's a memory right there. And yeah, I'm really excited that I have the opportunity to document things from my perspective because let me tell you, I'm going to have a lot of perspective this year and a lot of emotion. So please go listen to that, especially if you're going to be a senior parent. But even if you're not, go listen to it because what great perspective. She talked a lot about relationships with kids, even if they move, even if they get into different things than you expected, even if their paths look very different than you thought they were going to look. She got into some great perspective on that. So please go listen to her episode. And then the most recent one was with my friend Kristen Yulin. This is episode 47, Trusting the Path. And I want to point out that when I started the podcast, one of my really good friends and Bible study leads and counterparts, Lene Blaze, who I've had on the show. She was on season 1. She and a friend of hers, Sandy Kovac, who is another guest on the show, both she and Sandy have a podcast called Imagine Yourself. And I loved the podcast. I loved the way that they had it set up and how they interviewed guests. And I thought this would be great for me to emulate. She gave me amazing advice. And one of her pieces of advice was list a bunch of titles, come up with potential titles for shows so you can come up with 52 different shows. Well, I loved that. And I jumped right in and immediately started thinking, because it's called Show Me the Way, well, how can I use the word path? So many of my episodes, especially in season 1, have the word path in it. So when I met with Kristen, I decided it was going to be trusting the path. Kristen shared a lot about her faith and how her belief in God and her prayers and her dedication to her faith helped her with a big business decision that she recently made. She now owns her own Pilates studio, and there was a lot that went into all of that. So we talked about business owning, understanding your calling, going after things, and abiding by your faith. And I couldn't help but think, okay, that's trusting the path, trusting the way that God has pointed her to go and the path that he created for her. And I strongly believe that. So a lot of my episodes have the word path in it. So go check those out because I just strongly, again, believe that we are all meant to be on a certain path in this world. God created a path for each one of us. We can all show each other the way. We can help so that we each can find our own path. We, as a group, as a human being group, we can talk to one another about, hey, I'm feeling this calling. I think I want to do this. What do you think of that? What are your thoughts? What have you gone through? What is your perspective on that? We can learn from one another because I totally believe that's what we're supposed to be doing here on this planet. And that's why I have this podcast. I want us all to help one another learn the way, be shown the way, and just to find the path that we are supposed to be on. So I hope you will go back and listen to Cindy and Kristen, or even go all the way back into season 1. Listen to Lene, find the episodes that have the word path in it, especially if you're a little unsure on what your path is. And if you're going through something right now and you just don't really know what next steps to take, I know there's somebody here that you could listen to and get some perspective from. And if not, hopefully you got some from me today. I appreciate you listening when it's just me, the host, but I do like to reflect on what we've done. It's been an amazing season 2. I only have a few more episodes until we start season 3, and I cannot wait for that. If you're listening and you're thinking, gosh, I really do have a story to share, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram, Show Me the Way Podcast, or Andrea Fusco Miller. I'm on Instagram with both of those accounts and also Facebook, Andrea Fusco Miller. You can reach out to the guest if they're your friend and say, I have a story. Can you connect me? I would love for you to be on the show as well. I do have this podcast on Spotify and Apple. You can also go to andreamiller.co, which is my website. It has all of the episodes within reach. You can make comments and reviews there, and just any feedback you give is definitely greatly appreciated. So thank you to my guests for showing the way. Listeners, thanks for continuing to listen and keep on helping me find the way and supporting my way and the path that I think I'm called to be on. And I just hope that you're loving this as much as I am. Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review, as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.